In this video, I'm going to show you how I partner with property managers without chasing them forever. At the end of this, you'll know how to get vendor ready, how to structure the property manager intake lane, how to handle approval, how to document jobs, how to invoice so you actually can get paid, and how to become a vendor they call first instead of, the vendor they tolerate when desperate. Okay. Episode 5, how to partner with property managers without chasing them forever. So, picture this. You finally get in with a property manager. Yeah. You're excited, obviously. And you're feeling special. You tell the office, this is a big account. Then the first work order comes in and says, kitchen sink, leaking. Obviously, it's from one of his tenants. And your office called and asked, what is the address? Property manager sends 564 Burlingame. Office called again. Second time. May I have the unit number? Of course, they send a unit number. Third time. Can I have the tenant contact? They send a tenant contact. You probably guess they're kind of annoyed this time, huh? Then your office called again and asked, is the unit occupied? Of course it is, obviously. Then the fifth time, your office called again and asked, may I know who will approve the $300? Guess what? They don't answer. But your tech goes anyway. You find a bad basket strainer, a rot tailpiece, and a shut-off valve that looks like it fought from Vietnam. Well, just like any other contractor, you send an estimate. Then silence. So you follow up. Silence. Follow up again. Silence. 8 days later, property managers reply, owner approved. Can you still do it today? Of course. Absolutely. Let me just teleport a licensed plumber through a rush hour traffic with parts, labor, and a smile. That is the fantasy some of you are living in. And then you say the line I hear all the time. Property managers are a pain in the ass. Well, yeah, sure. Some. But no, not all. See, most of the time, the real problem is you tried to partner with a property manager using the same sloppy process that you used for, random one-off customers. That doesn't work. Because your property managers do not want more vendors. Trust me. They want fewer problems. They want speed. They want documentation. They want no tenant drama. They want no invoice mystery. They want no chasing. They want no, hey, just checking in like 7 times a week from a contractor like you who can't run a straight process. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I partner with property managers without chasing them forever. At the end of this, you'll know how to get vendor ready, how to structure the property manager intake lane, how to handle approval, how to document jobs, how to invoice so you actually can get paid, and how to become a vendor they call first instead of, the vendor they tolerate when desperate. Okay. Now, let's talk about what chasing property managers really cost. Because this is not just a sales annoyance. This is what I call OD. Take note of that new acronym. It's operations disease. You see, when you don't have a property manager system, here's what happened. Work order comes in half-baked. Tenant's contact is missing. Unit numbers are wrong. Approval limit are unclear. Your office keeps sending follow-ups with no structure. Your tech walks into occupied properties super blind. Your estimate sits in limbo. Your invoice go out missing the work order number. Your cash gets trapped in processing. Then your team starts resenting property manager work because, the whole thing feels like unpaid babysitting. And then the owner says, property management job isn't worth it. Maybe your company's trying to manage repeat commercial style volume with a retail residential settings. Boom, there you go. That is usually the issue. Because, you see, if you could realize this, property manager work can be fantastic if you run it right, if you run it correctly. Steady volume, recurring turns, repeat units, less marketing dependency, better route density, more predictable revenue, longer term relationships. But only if you stop treating every property manager work order like a surprise attack, okay? Property managers are managing owners, tenants, maintenance, renewals, turnovers, accounting, compliance, and whatever fresh nonsense happened at Unit 14B this morning. They do not need your office adding more chaos. Trust me. They need a reliable vendor who could make decisions fast, communicate clean, and close the loop without acting like every job is a hostage situation. Let me ask you this. How many property manager jobs in your company right now that feels painful? Not because the property manager is impossible, but because your own intake, approval, and billing process is built like a folding chair. Could be a lot, huh? Check top 20 property manager jobs that you have for the past 2 weeks. Check the intake, check the approval, check the billing process. Do you even have an SOP? A standard operating procedure to follow this, like a template? If you don't, email me in the description below. We're going to help you out. Operator's mindset shift. Here's a new mindset shift. When I go after property managers, I'm not selling labor. I'm selling predictability. That's the whole play. You see, nowadays, anybody can say, we do plumbing, we do HVAC, we do electrical, we can handle turns, we're responsive, we're good, we're the best. Yeah, great. So can half the country. What property managers actually buy is risk reduction. They want to know, will you answer? Will you contact the tenant? Will you document the problem? Will you stay under the NTE if possible? Will you get approval before going rogue? Will you send photos? Will you invoice correctly? Will you stop making me play detective? That's it. That is why my pitch to property manager is never, oh, we do great work, we're the best. Nobody believes that line anymore. Every contractor says that right before proving the opposite. My pitches will help you make your maintenance process easier and no headache. Simple, plain English. Keyword there is help. If they hear and feel that you are the vendor who could help them with their everyday chaos and trouble with their properties and tenants, guess what? They will immediately shake hands with you. Done. That's the real offer. Now, solidify this perception on how you build the whole system around one idea. Property managers do not want to chase me, so I refuse to chase them blindly. I use structure, I use SLA, I use approval rules, I use contact roles, I use work order numbers, I use closeout standards, I use invoice discipline. If a property manager has to dig through their inboxes to figure out what happened, boom, I already lost points. And if my office keeps asking the property manager questions we should have captured up front, then we're not a partner. We're just another needy vendor in a polo shirt. Good line here is this: hope is not a strategy, because that's what most contractor property manager relationship run on. Hope the property manager answer. Hope the tenant is home. Hope the owner approves. Hope accounting pays. Hope the notes make sense. No, I want system, not hope. Hope your business can make it the next month. Hope you can still pay your technicians. No, do not hope. Calculate, right? And the best part is, a lot of the software right now supports this. If you stop using it like a digital shoebox, see, there's Appfolio. It gives vendors a portal where they can view work order details, upload invoices, add notes and photos, and mark work complete. Also, Buildium's maintenance tools. They're built around tracking order status and response time, and its maintenance contact center is positioned to manage service requests 24/7, 365, and full visibility tied, back into your system. Oh, third thing, Property Meld. It's a great tool specifically built around coordinating residents, vendor, and property managers all in one maintenance workflow. So yeah, they're great. Not sponsored. I hope they're going to sponsor me someday. Okay. The game in here is really simple. Not how do I get more property managers? The game is how do I become the easiest vendor on their board to work with? How can I be the easiest vendor to each property manager? If you're easy, if you're convenient, and if you're predictable, boom. Each one property manager talks to another property manager, talks to another property manager. Guess what? Next thing you know, you get the whole gang. You get the whole zip code. Moving on, the system workflow. Step 1, get vendor ready before you start begging for work. Step 1, do not be a beggar. I'm kidding. Step 1 is getting vendor ready. This is where most contractors embarrass themselves. You know why? They want property manager work, but they have no vendor packet, no onboarding file, no response standard, no after hours policy, no coverage map, no approval rules, and no clue who in their team actually owns the account. So they go to the property manager and basically say, send us something and we'll see. That's not confidence. That's unemployment with a logo. See, here's the thing. Before I even partner with any property manager, I got to have a clean vendor packet. And that includes business legal name, primary service lines, service area, which zip code, hours and after hour policy, office contact, dispatch contact, billing contact, W-9, licensing information, if applicable, insurance certificate, response time standard, emergency categories not to exceed policy, your NCE, estimate turnaround policy, invoice requirement, payment methods, software, Appfolio or whatever, your preferred communication channel, Slack, you want to put them on Slack, or you just want to maintain WhatsApp or phone or text or email. See, those are like really, really fucking simple things. You just have to structure it. And by structuring it, now you could set up your parameters on how they can interact with you and how you can deliver yourself in a predictable manner. So who owns this? You, the owner, or the operations manager, if you have one. You build the standard. You build the SOP. Second, your VA or your CSR, they keep the packet updated. All the admin stuff, right? They should know the service coverage and the after-hour rules. If you could automate some stuff, better, right? Those after-hour thing. Now, your billing department, if you have one, or if it's just the same VA, they should know the invoice requirement before you even send them on the first job, okay? The invoice requirement might require a pre-signature, post-signature, a photo, before and after stuff, with all the job descriptions, of course. But yeah, you gotta just set the right expectation. So where does this all information lives inside the CRM? Obviously, it should live under the property manager account record. If they have a parent account, put it there. And then below, there should be like a sub account to every properties that they have. And then who is the point of contact, or if they have an on-site or off-site manager to every properties that they have. Yeah, that's a contact role. And vendor onboarding checklist, billing term, fields, required documents, attachment section, service area tag, emergency flag, NTE limit field, portal, or login notes, lost or on hold reason, if just in case they stall out. My property manager partnership pipeline looks like this: target property manager account, intro sent, vendor packet submitted. Is it approved or onboarded? You got to separate that. Trial work orders, active property manager account, preferred vendor, on hold or lost. That is the pipeline. If it looks basic, good. If it looks complicated, email me in the description below. We're going to teach you more on how I could structure this. Now, you create that real solid pipeline, not potential maybe, not talk to her once, not need to circle back, not he seems interested. Actual movement, actual structure on what to send, what to do, what to input at this first stage of your relationship with the property manager, to set the right parameters, to set the right expectations, and get paid. Now let me hit you with a boring grown-up part, because property managers love adults. The SBA says most small businesses need a combination of licenses and permits from federal and state agencies. I assume you already know this. For those VA who doesn't know this, we're going to teach you more. We can train you more on this. So there are a lot of like real requirements happening at the state and local level. If you're walking into a property manager relationship and you kind of have that fuzzy licensing, expired local registration, or your cousin handles the permit stuff, stop. You're not ready. Okay? And yes, have your W-9 ready. For those owner who has a newly trained VA who doesn't know how to run this W-9 thing, let us know. We can help you out. Okay. So if you see those jobs that started out with 3 extra emails and 2 extra calls before a wrench even came out of a truck, we fixed that by building a solid property manager onboarding form. What does that include? Contact roles, tenant contact preferences, maximum NTE, emergency definition, like 200, 300, 500 bucks, invoice email, property code format, and whether photos were required on closeout. Suddenly, the property manager stopped feeling like they hired a group project. And the software absolutely matters here. If the property manager leaves inside Appfolio, their vendor portal is a huge advantage for you, because you can now work inside their maintenance lane. Instead of you making them decode your random PDF and text chains, you can view the work order details. You could upload the invoice, add notes, photos, and you can mark the job complete inside Appfolio. If you don't know about Appfolio, let us know. We can train your VA. This is not sponsored. So yeah. If the property manager leaves in Buildium, their maintenance request tools and connected communication flow matter, because the platform is built around work order status, response time, visibility, and vendor coordination. Some like Appfolio, some like Buildium. Now at this stage, let me ask you this question. You could answer in the comment below. Do you actually have a property manager onboarding packet right now? Or you're still the same guy introducing your company like handing out a business card at a gas station? It's not bad. I'm just saying you don't have a process of doing so. Step 2, build a dedicated property manager intake lane so work orders don't enter as chaos. Step 2 is intake, not chaos. And this is where everything either gets easier or gets stupid fast. I do not let property manager work come into the business like a normal homeowner call. That's how you get burned. Property manager work needs its own intake lane, its own fields, its own rules, its own ownership. Okay? So who owns this responsibility? One, your VA or your CSR, they own the intake, the admin stuff, the invoice accuracy, the collections, right? The calling. Second, your dispatcher or your scheduler. This can also be your VA, right? They handle or they own the scheduling fit. Third, your technician. They own the field updates. You got to train them how to send photos, upload photos, get pre-signature, post-signature, right? Stuff like that. And then the fourth one, you as the owner, or if you have an operations manager, you handle the escalations, those high-level money shit and the account level issues. Okay? If there's any, again, escalations. So, where does this all live in the CRM? Again, it lives under the property manager account record, property or location record, unit number field, tenant contact field, property manager contact field, owner approval required. There should be like a button for like yes or no. NTE limit field, portal, work order number, access infrastructure, occupancy status, urgency category, estimate required. Again, there's a yes or no. There should be a yes or no button in your CRM. And lastly, the invoice recipient field. Okay, if you have that in your CRM, let me know what your CRM. The comment below. And yeah, so my property manager intake form must answer these questions before the work order moves. Right? Who requested it? Which property? Right? There could be a lot of property for one property manager. Which unit? Of course, which floor? Is it occupied or vacant? Tenant contact, property manager contact, on-site, off-site, emergency, or is this a routine, go to whatever, anytime kind of job? Not to exceed amount. Approval needed above what number? Can we contact the tenant directly? Be careful. Some, they don't want to contact the tenant directly. Where should updates go? Where should invoices go? Do they have a third-party financing firm, right? Or they have a dedicated accounts payable department? Some small property manager, they don't have a specific accounts payable. It's fine. They pay their own credit card. It's fine. So at least ask, right? Lastly, portal only, email, or both? Meaning, are they sending it through Appfolio, Buildium, or whatever, or in a separate portal, or they're just sending work order through email, or can be both? Some are doing the automations for both. So yeah, and that is the intake, not licking sink at Oak Street 123. Thank you, detective. Very strong, very smart. Look, there can be a lot of things. There can be millions of moving things, moving parts to validate the information that you intake, right? Depending on your niche, how big your operations is and all that. But this is more structured. If you're not doing this, do this. If you need a template, a training, email me in the description. My email is in the description below. Okay? All right. Here's the thing, guys. The reason a lot of you chases property managers forever is because your first touch creates extra work for them. It's a headache for them. If a property manager sends a work order and your office replies with 6 questions that should have been part of onboarding, you are training them to think of you as a high-maintenance girlfriend. Nobody wants a high-maintenance girlfriend. Trust me. My property manager intake protocol is really simple. Acknowledge new work order fast, emergency callback immediately, routine work order acknowledge same business block, tenant contact attempt same day if allowed, missing info requested once, clearly One shot. One shot. No work order sits untouched in new because the office got busy pretending chaos is inevitable. That's the rule. There can be a lot, but at least set up those 6 rules first, okay? Because property managers forgive problems, but they do not forgive black holes. Step 3, win the approval game with the NTE rules. Fast estimates and zero mystery. Step 3 is not a mystery. Step 3 is approval. This is where most contractors start chasing forever because they do not have an approval system. They just send an estimate and then emotionally hover around the inbox like a ghost. No. Property managers live in approval chains, okay? Sometimes property manager can approve it. Sometimes the owner has to approve it. Sometimes the owner is on vacation pretending not to see the email. Sometimes accounting wants more documentation. Sometimes property manager just needs, better photos and a clear scope of work. That means your job is not to follow up more. Your job is to make approval faster, easier. All right, here's the thing, guys. My approval system has 4 lanes. Under NTE, do the work, document hard, close it out. Second thing, over NTE, those simple repairs, same day estimates with photos and clear scope. Third, over NTE, but those complex repair, estimate plus risk note, part, lead time, and recommendation. Fourth, the replacement / permit likely work. You should have full scope, timeline, deposit, authorization rules, permit notes, and approval path. Really important. There can be a lot of things, but these are just few things. Now, who owns this task? First, your technician. He does the diagnostic, the repair, the documentations, and all that. Second, your CSR or VA. They can package the estimate if it needs to, or if they handle the property manager account, they can do the follow-up as well. And the third is the operations manager, or you, the owner. You can step in on a big replacement or, whatever sticky politics and big money shit. Anything that smells money, okay? Where does it live in the CRM? Approval status, NT field, estimate attachment, photos, finding notes, risk, temporary fixed note, permit likely checkbox, follow-up task, lost, stalled reason. And here's the operator truth. Do not make the property manager read your mind. They are not born to have a mental telepathy, okay? Your estimate should answer what failed, what caused it, what are we doing, what happens if they wait, can it be repaired under NTE, $300, $500, whatever? Is this temporary or permanent? What is the turnaround? What approval do we still need? That's it. If your estimate reads like repair plumbing issue, $485. What the fuck is that? You deserve every delay you get. Trust me. It doesn't make any sense. Price is there, but what the fuck is repair plumbing issue? Explain, right? Now let's go a little bit on the compliance. SBA, Small Business Administration, for those virtual assistants who doesn't know this. When the work moves into larger replacements or regulated work, do not get casual. The SBA says licensing and permit requirements are often federal, state, and local, depending on the activity and location. So if you're doing panel work, right, equipment replacement, gas line work, or anything else that could trigger local licensing or permit requirements, your property manager process needs a visible permit licensing checkpoint. Not, we'll figure it out in the field. Your company can get into trouble. Okay, I've seen a lot of companies doing this. Okay. Also, if you can automate estimate follow-ups by email or text, act like an adult. Act like a real business. FTC says, whoever is handling your marketing. Okay. The FTC says the Can-Spam Act, Google this, CAN-SPAM, like the food spam. Can-Spam Act sets rules for commercial email and gives recipient the right to make you stop emailing them. When you email them, when you do marketing shit to them, you got to put a button down there that says opt out or unsubscribe. Okay. I guess these are really simple. But sometimes we just need to like remind ourselves that all this shit, government stuff. Trust me, we all hate this. But rules are rules. It is what it is. Let me continue this. FCC says robocalls and robotexts generally require prior written consent under its rules. So yes, your CRM, okay, your CRM should track who can get what. And no, but we're just following up on the quote. No, that's not a magical exemption from a basic communication discipline, okay? The customer says, stop following up on this estimate. I don't like it. I don't approve it. Stop. Then stop. Okay. I'm not sure if one of your VA has handled this or have handled this before. You see, when you apply for a phone, Nextiva or Dialpad or whatever, right? Ring Central, unless those multi-line dialers, they kind of have a clause in their application where you should not spam people. Okay, read that in the fine prints in your phone applications. So just in case, here's my question. You can answer by making a comment below. How many property manager estimates in your pipeline right now that are not actually waiting on approval, but they're waiting on you to send a cleaner scope of work or a better photo or a better estimate or a better sentence that makes sense? Right? Call them, make a follow-up. What's wrong? What's missing? Check it out. Get the top 20 estimates that you have. What is missing? Did you follow some templates from the previous triumphs? I don't know. But yeah, let's talk about software. This is not sponsored. Contractors Plus, Code IQ. Awesome, great. Service Fusion, Jobber, Service Titan. There's a lot of software out there. Let me just touch base a couple. This is not sponsored, okay? Not paid, not yet. Contact me if you want to pay me by talking shit or doing reviews. Contractors Plus, if I'm talking about estimates and NTE with property managers, Contractors Plus, this is strong, really strong, because it lets me keep the approval clean instead of letting estimate work die in somebody's inbox. I can build an estimate, attach scope and payment terms, and collect the e-signature. I guess some software does this, but this is just more fluid. Okay. What else? Okay, here's the second one. Code IQ, not sponsored, but let me just discuss a couple of great things about this software. If I'm talking about partnering a property manager without chasing them forever, that's what the title says, Code IQ is strong because it gives me a clear and a tight estimate to approval machine, kinda. Very smooth, okay? I can send branded estimate with e-signature approval, deposit requirements, photos, same thing. Oh, you could track codes, you can automate stuff, you can build change order on site. Yeah, you could automate a couple of things. Between Code IQ and Contractors Plus, I choose Code IQ. Service Fusion is also great, don't get me wrong. Jobber is also great. But yeah, this is just me. Step 4, close out and billing. Close out like a professional and invoice properly so accounting doesn't hate you. This is where partnership either compound or decay, because property managers remember 2 things forever: vendors who make maintenance easier and vendors who make accounting miserable. Do not be the second one. Okay? This must be your strict closeout standard. Every completed job must include property name and address, unit number, portal or work order number, tenant contact outcome, issue reported findings, work performed, parts material used, before and after photos, if relevant, it should be, whether work was under NCE or separately approved, recommendations still open, invoice amount, invoice recipient. Like, these are like basic. And if this sounds complicated, don't worry, we're going to help you out with that. So who owns this task? Who should own this responsibility? Well, first, technician. They handle the field closeout and photos. Second, your VA or CSR. They quality assurance the documentations and bills. Okay, should be same day. Billing should be same day, or as per whatever batching rules, accounting rules you have. Third person is your operations manager. They follow up the past due cleanly, either daily, every 3 days, or every Friday. It's up to you, okay? Where does it live in your CRM? Of course, obviously, job summary, photo attachment, property manager work, order number field, invoice attachment, status change to be completed / invoice, accounts receivable follow-up task, account note if anything unusual happened, okay? And here's a rule that will save you a lot of stupid pain. Never make a property manager reconstruct your invoice. That is not their fucking job. That is your job. If they have to ask, what property was this? Which unit? Which work order? Who approved it? Why is this amount different? Where are the photos? Why is this line item mysterious or vague? Boom, already lost it. A lot of property manager accounting delay, it's not because they're evil. It's because your invoice showed up dressed like a riddle. For some reason, you don't have a proper accounting structure. You don't need an accountant on this one. It's just a basic admin stuff. So, my invoice protocol for property manager account is real simple. 5 things. Same day invoice on completed COD style work unless property manager owner maintenance agreement says otherwise. 2. Batch billing only if the property manager requests it. Every invoice references the work order number and the property unit. That's the third one. Missing documentation gets fixed before invoice send, not after rejection. Last, past due follow-up starts on a schedule, not on emotion. Boom. Now let's go to my favorite part. VA responsibility slice. Daily, weekly, monthly. Let me say this clearly. Your VA or CSR is not just helping the property managers. They are the account traffic controller. Okay? So, daily, I want them doing this. Review all the new property manager work orders. Second, verify missing property, unit, contact, and approval fields. Acknowledge work order fast. Contact tenants when allowed. Move job by status, not by guesswork. Package estimate with photos and clear notes. Confirm invoice references before send. Follow stalled approvals older than SLA. Weekly. Review open property manager estimates. Review job waiting on owner approval. Review an invoice completed property manager work. Review past due invoices. Review repeat maintenance by property or unit. Review specific complaint patterns from those property managers. And review note and photo quality by technician. Now, for the bigger scope, monthly. Score each property manager account. Average response time, average approval time, average days to invoice, average days to collect, numbers of return visits, numbers of missing info work order, numbers of invoice rejection, or preferred vendor opportunities. You can scale this by measuring it. This will be like your KPI. Okay? Understanding their numbers, understanding their behavior can give you a better structure on how you could handle them. You could use that as a template for the next property manager. Now you become more solid, more structured, proper, formal, and you could create your own template. Then you can scale. So here are a couple of realizations to solidify my perception and my mindset on how I should treat property managers. For the owner, I would tell myself this: I don't try to win property managers by talking louder. I win them by being easier to work with than other vendors on their list. Here's your new pitch for property managers. We're built to make your maintenance process cleaner. Fast acknowledgement, clear tenant contact, documented approval, photo closeout, and invoices that don't make your accounting team roll their eyes. I know it's kind of sound cringe, but dude, if this makes money, so be it, right? Give them the right words that makes money, that makes them feel comfortable, that makes them feel trust you. You know what I'm saying? Okay. For onboarding, before you send us work, I want to get the rules right. Approval limit, emergency categories, tenant contact preference, invoice destination, and a portal or email flow you want us to follow. Oh. For intake discipline, if a property manager work order comes in without the unit, tenant contact, or approval threshold, we fix that at intake. I'm not sending a technician into ambiguity and calling it productivity, okay? No, we're not sending them to black hole and do whatever. For approval control, if the repair fits under the NCE, we handle it and document it. If it doesn't, we send photos, findings, scope, and the exact next decision you need to make. Simple. Now, for the tenant communication, we can contact the tenant directly if that's your preferences, but it needs to be documented clearly. I do not want your team, my team, and tenants all running 3 different stories. Okay? Clear path, clear decision, clear scope. For documentation, if it's not tied to the property, the unit, the work order number, the approval, and the photos, it is not complete. It's just a memory-wearing work boots. For billing, before I send the invoice, my invoice should answer the question before the accounting asks for it. Which property, which unit, what work order, what work was done, what was approved, and why was this amount correct? Simple, right? Common sense. For account boundaries, I do not chase property managers emotionally. I run a follow-up system. That's the difference. Let me ask you this. When a property manager gives your company a trial job, does your company make you look like a preferred vendor or a probationary employee? Your answer. Now let's go to mistake to avoid, always rules, never rules, and if-then rules. Mistake 1, going after property managers before your vendor ready. You know what does it cause? Slow onboarding, missed trust, back and forth on the basics, and you look amateur. So what to do instead? Have the vendor packet, your W-9, licenses, insurance, your service map, your routes, your SLA, and invoice rules ready, okay? Mistake 2, handling property manager work like a homeowner work. What it costs? Bad intake, missing unit info, approval confusion, tenant miscommunication, and more chasing. Trust me. So what to do instead? Create a dedicated property manager intake lane with required fields and contact roles. Okay? Mistake 3, sending vague estimates. You know what it costs? Slow approval, more follow-ups, more confusion, more ghosting. What to do instead? Send a clear scope, photos, risk notes, turnaround, and exact next decision. Simple. Mistake 4, making accounting decode your invoice. You know what that costs? Payment delays, rejected invoices, accounts receivable headache, property manager frustration. What to do instead? Property, unit, work order number, approval, reference, closeout summary, and attachment every time. Every time. Mistake 5, confusing activity with partnership. You know what it costs? A lot of emails, no trust, no preferred vendor status, no repeat volume. What to do instead? Be predictable, documented, easy, and fast. Simple. It's really that fucking simple. Now let's go with always, never, if then. Here are my always rules. Always define approval limits, contact roles, and invoice rules up front. Always document property manager work by property, unit, work order number, and approval path. Always make the property manager's life easier than it was before they sent you the job. Okay? Never rules. Never send a technician into a property manager job with missing basics and pretend the field will figure it out. Nope, that's a big trouble. Never exceed the NTE without a documented reason and a real approval process. Of course. Never send a vague invoices and then complain about slow payment. What do you expect? Here are my if-then rules. If the job is under NTE, then complete it and close it out hard with photos and complete notes. Okay? If the repair is over NTE, then package the estimate the same day with findings and clear next step. Simple. Lastly, if a property manager work order stalls, then follow the cadence by SLA and escalate based on account rules, not panic, not guessing, not spam. Okay. All right, let's wrap this up. If you want to partner with a property manager without chasing them forever, do this. Get vendor ready before outreach. Build a dedicated property manager intake lane. Win approvals with clean scopes and NTE discipline. Close out hard. Invoice like accounting matters. Score the account every month. Measure it. Measure their behavior, right? Because property managers do not reward charm. They reward relief. There you go. They reward the vendor who answers, the vendor who documents, the vendor who doesn't create tenants drama, the vendor who doesn't make them hunt for answers, the vendor who gets the job from request to paid without acting like every work order is the first one they've ever seen. This is how you stop chasing. Okay? You become the easy yes. So here's my call to action. Get the top 10 property manager in your CRM. Check the recent 5 jobs. Check the NTE. Check how fast resolution was taken from intake to scheduling to dispatching to invoicing. Investigate what was the cause of the delay of each processes. And in the comments below, tell me the most ridiculous thing a property manager or owner has ever delayed approval for. My favorite is still, we're still waiting for the owner for a leaking toilet at a rental where water was actively trying to take a legal issue. And that's why I build system. Always remember, build the system, run the system, and let the system run. See you in the next episode. Ciao.